built for time.
All right, what's happening? Celtics post-game live. Celtics falling 112-105 to the Detroit Pistons at TD Garden tonight. A game in which the Celtics led by 4 at the half. Then the third quarter, you saw things shift. You had the Pistons taking lead going into the fourth, and then it was back and forth a little bit there towards the end. But it's the Pistons who come out on top. Tom Giles, Chris Forsberg, Eddie House, your initial thoughts after this one?
I thought it was a good basketball game. Besides the result, of us not getting the W, I thought it was a good basketball game. I thought you seen physicality. I thought you seen guys executing at times. And I thought you also seen guys that stepped up in certain situations. I think that we could have been a little bit better in certain situations on the offensive glass. That one particular play where Tobias Harris was able to get that putback. I mean, they got a bunch of shots right there that sometimes that shifts the momentum of a basketball game. And we weren't able to really grasp the momentum like that. It was nip and tuck until they were able to do it. And, that's the reason why they're in first place right now.
Yeah, and I think that was the first play of the first quarter, right, where they give up the 2 offensive rebounds. Joe calls the immediate timeout. There were just too many instances in this game where the Celtics lost their way, and some of it wasn't their own fault necessarily, but Jordan Walsh kind of got taken right out of this game with the whistles and just could never get comfortable and play the defense to the physicality that he wanted to. Ugo, the same thing. The end of the third quarter, Ugo goes in there and gets blown by and then turns the ball over. Tough way to finish that quarter, not getting the rebounds to start the fourth quarter. It all sort of adds up. And so when you then lose the shot margin, you don't win the three-point battle, it's really difficult. As good as JB was and as good as Derek White was in the fourth quarter to make up for all the missteps along the way. An unusually high turnover night for the Celtics. They very rarely lose the turnover battle. So just all the little things add up and get you at the finish line. As Eddie said, a fun game, playoff-like vibes, despite that 40-minute third quarter, with all the whistles. But you just got to find a way to be better, especially given all the time off you've had. And it's a little disappointing that they weren't just a little bit more crisp.
Yeah, there was definitely, it was difficult to get any sort of rhythm going in that third quarter when you had 17 fouls, 21 free throws. But as you get back to it and how this thing shifted, and by the way, Chris, 6 turnovers in the fourth for the Celtics in this one. So that certainly played its role in it. We check out some of the highlights going back to the third when things started to turn here for the Celtics. And again, they were up by 4 at the break and then got outscored 32-24 in the third. And then, outscored 27-24 in the fourth. Here's the third quarter. Taking a look at some of the tape here. Eddie, what did you see coming out of halftime that changed where Detroit was able to take over?
I mean, you know what? It was a weird game. I think that the referees kind of got in the way of the game being, because it's really hard to distinguish how a ref is going to call a game, right? Until it starts happening. Till the game's going to happen, then you're like, okay, this fool is letting us be physical. Now it goes from, okay, we're going to let y'all be physical, to now we're going to start calling things. So now you can't be as physical as you was at the beginning of the game in the first half. And to me, that's extremely hard to do as a player, to try to differentiate how a referee's going to call it from quarter to quarter to half to half.
And as a result, you see Detroit with the 112-105 win. These two teams will meet up just one more time this year. That'll be January 19th. Back to Little Caesars Arena. We bring in Drew Carter and Scal now. And fellas, again, Celtics had a good rhythm going early in this game, but then things certainly slowed down and just not enough in the end, as it was Cade Cunningham and Detroit coming out on top.
Yeah, Giles, I thought what Eddie just said was, right on point. It felt like such a different game from the first half to the third quarter. Well, look who this is.
Got an all-star with us.
Mike Gorman.
Legends just dropping by.
Yeah, Mike and Terry in town. That's how you know it's a big game.
Big game.
When the Gormans drop by.
Even Mike Gorman didn't like the officials in the third quarter.
No.
I get it. We've had it. Look, it was a bloodbath. I understand. It was entertaining to watch in the first half. I'd rather the officials stay out of the way. Kind of thought they did in the fourth. Cade Cunningham, we can't take anything away from him. In the fourth quarter, he was awesome. We had some guys with some big-time performances. But here's an example. So the Toronto game, Milwaukee game, and now the Detroit game, we're playing slower in the second half, and it's not working out for us. Think about our key moments in the second half. Transition 3, transition, going to the basket, everything faster. But then we slow it down. I just didn't feel like we had that much success in the half court against Detroit. And I don't necessarily love the way that we execute in the half court, picking on matchups and stuff like that. It does work out at times, but I don't know if that's sustainable against really good teams.
Yeah, and we're talking about the officiating. Of course, it did go both ways. Both teams had 1 million fouls in the third quarter, but it did make the game more choppy, harder to get into that flow that you're talking about, which has been really good to the Celtics when they do play fast and get shots earlier in the shot clock. I mean, against a really physical team like Detroit, third best defense in the NBA, what do you want to see them do offensively?
So I'm a big believer in gravity, right? So you push the ball, you get guys running back, and then you play off of that. And us in transition, we stay on the perimeter and we look to move it. I think you attack the paint and look to spray it, right? So I think that's just maybe a little bit different in philosophy. But even the Derek White three was driving the ball inside the paint, kicking it back out. So gravity to me is like the force of what you do when you push the ball. You get to Detroit Pistons running back, sprinting back, setting up their defense, and then attacking when they close out. And I feel like in the second half we don't do enough of that. We pinpoint matchups and we attack matchups. And I get it. Like if we had Jason Tatum, you can do that, but we don't have Jason Tatum. You don't have multiple guys that can go ISO and get you a shot at the rim or a pull up. Right now we really have one guy, and that's Jaylen Brown. And then Derek White played out of his mind tonight, but it still wasn't enough.
And that's why the Celtics are last in the league in pace. You got to have the ball to push it, and they gave up 12 offensive rebounds tonight to the Pistons, Giles. But I mean, again, hanging with Detroit, that's 3 games and 3 really close
here.
No moral victories, though.
This is the pros, man.
All right,
this ain't
whatever.
win one for the Gipper.
All right, good night, guys.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I mean, well, the Celtics were favored in this game. They were. But in the end, they lose back-to-back games for the first time since the very beginning of November. Now 15-11 on the season. We're just getting started. More Celtics postgame live coming your way after this.
Celtics postgame live is presented by your New England Ford dealers and Ford trucks. Celebrate the year-end sales event in a new Ford.
3. That 3 cut it to 4. And then he had Derek White with the runner, making it 104-102. But on the other end, Cade Cunningham, and again, this is why he's in that conversation for MVP. He was clutch down the stretch, knocks that down to make it 108-102. Derek White actually had 14 points in the fourth quarter, including these 3 as well, to make it a 3-point game. But again,
you know who?
Cade Cunningham with 2 of his 32 points to go with 10 assists. And the Pistons, that's how they get to the 112-105 win. And, Chris, you were saying usually when Derek White has a big fourth quarter like that, you can expect good things. For the Celtics in this situation, though, maybe the good things were just outweighed by the fact that Cade Cunningham made those clutch shots down the stretch.
It almost felt like the Celtics weren't going to make a run, and then Derek finally kind of gets going, and you're thinking, okay, like when Derek has a good fourth quarter, they find a way. I don't know, there's something special about when Derek gets going, and so he's knocking down the threes, he's making the little floater, he's got his touchback. You're thinking, wow, they're going to find a way. Well, then the other end, Cade Cunningham comes down, and twice against Derek, who was playing good defense. It's just that you can get enough separation, and it goes back to it. You made too many errors along the way where you couldn't catch up at the finish line and make up for some of those missteps. And so a reminder of how good you got to be at the end of quarters, a reminder how you've got to play without fouling, got to take care of the basketball. I mean, even Derek had the ball slip away for a turnover there late fourth. Peyton Pritchard airballs a 3, some really uncharacteristic stuff from a team that, even though they haven't been great in clutch moments, they have found and typically been, especially in games against elite competition, found a way to be better.
Well, you got 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. That's a problem right there when you only had 13 for the game, right? So those are the reasons. And then only 16 assists. So you have 13 turnovers and 16 assists. When those numbers are close to matching up, most of the time you lose those basketball games. We had a chance to win this game. We just could not get the stops when we needed to. We did not get the rebound when we needed to. And we did not make the shot when we needed to. Derek White was phenomenal in the fourth quarter. He showed up. He did what he was supposed to do. But our